In a serial transfer experiment, typically you will have organisms that are potentially passing through different stages of growth. In a serial passage experiment, this can be the point at which the organisms are transmitted into a new host, their replication within that host, and their transfer out of that host. In a simple test tube in broth, you can have organisms going through a lag phase that's followed by a log phase that's followed by a stationary phase. You can also have transfer from either biofilms or biofilm-like environments, such as the surface of petri dishes, the agar on petri dishes, involved either with organisms passing through log phase or various kinds of phases, depending on how large you allow, for example, colonies to grow before the passage. But a simple kind of serial transfer experiment would be taking, for example, organisms from stationary phase, putting them into fresh broth, having them go through a lag phase, then a log phase, then stationary phase again, then transferring them again. Alternatively, it's possible to keep organisms in log phase, that is continuously growing, simply by transferring those organisms while they're still in log phase, so that in fact they're continuously growing within fresh broth, simply because you're supplying fresh broth at each juncture. Remember, if you're trying to increase the amount of, or trying to emphasize adaptive evolution, then you want to make sure that a relatively large number of organisms are transferred each step, because that way you won't be losing relatively rare beneficial mutations that over time could increase in frequency within the population.